from someplace over the beautiful Pacific Northwest, USA, this is the Space Dog Radio Show. I'm Space Dog. Thanks for tuning in. Space Dog Radio is your remote location radio station, coming to you 24/7 around planet Earth and throughout the universe from SpaceDogRadio.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Also shouts out to our independent media heroes out there like Jacob Dean at Filter Free Radio. Here he is now.
Hey friends, I'm Jacob Dean of Filter Free Radio, your home for unfiltered news, activism, and sustainable solutions. Listen or watch Filter Free Radio live Mondays, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern at our official website, filterfreeradio.com.
Also to our long-term listeners from Mukilteo to Melbourne, Taranto to Tachikawa, Conrad to Kiev. We really appreciate listening. Today, independent journalist Mark Taylor-Canfield. He's been on Space Dog Radio many times talking about news from under the radar. News you probably won't hear anywhere else but on Space Dog Radio. Mark Taylor-Canfield, welcome back to Space Dog Radio again.
Hey, it's good to be here, Space Dog. Shout out to everybody listening around the world.
All right. Mark, what do you have for us from news from under the radar?
Well, Seattle has, as of last Tuesday, opened up the first legal cannabis retailer in the state. And Seattle especially, Cannabis City opened up last Tuesday, and I was one of the first folks to get in with a huge line, 350 people down in the Soto district of Seattle trying to buy legal marijuana in the state of Washington. And it was a big, exciting event. Worldwide media was there. Of course, folks from High Times magazine were there taking photos. And it was a big event. One of the first purchasers of legal marijuana in Seattle was our own city attorney, Pete Holmes, who said that he bought it for his own personal enjoyment.
Wow.
So that's the situation in Seattle. We are once again stepping forward along with the state of Colorado and bringing legal marijuana to the masses.
Wow,
that was the result of Initiative 502, which actually passed in 2012, but it's taken quite a while for the Washington State Liquor Control Board to get its act together in terms of regulating the growing, distribution, processing, and selling of legal marijuana in the state. That was the state agency that was given the responsibility for regulation. So they're trying to treat it like alcohol. You have to be 21 or older. You can possess up to an ounce of marijuana per individual. And unfortunately, at this point, there's only 25 out of 334 potentially licensed retailers in Washington. So supply is short, folks. Unfortunately, even though it was a really big event, lots and lots of people there, a lot of celebrations, like Vivian McPeak, one of the original founders of Hempfest in Seattle, was there, one of the first in line, and everybody was really happy. But as of today, unfortunately, I have to report that there is no legal recreational retail marijuana available in the city of Seattle. The reason for that is because the supply has run out, and because there's only one retail outlet in Seattle, they just couldn't get resupplied in time to supply the market demand here. So actually, folks have been running out up to Bellingham, which is up near the Canadian border north of Seattle on I-5. But the reason for that is Cannabis City actually said they will not have any more to sell until July 21st. So unfortunately, even though it was a great celebration, a big historic day in Seattle, as of today, there is no way to buy legal marijuana in Seattle. But hopefully that situation will be fixed soon, and people will be able to buy legal pot at these retail stores. Seattle is trying to catch up quickly, and so hopefully soon there will be more legal marijuana available in Seattle.
Hey, Mark, I'm looking forward to the day where you have, instead of, retail stores, you have, food trucks.
But we're not quite there yet. That might take some more legislation. Oh, by the way, I should add this. Alaska is also considering legal retail sales of marijuana, so that's another state to look at. There are several states that are in the process. And by the way, according to the Marijuana Policy Project, and you can get a lot more information about what's going on by going to the Seattle Post-Intelligencer That's SeattlePI.com. They have a pot blog, which is hosted by Seattle Hempfest, which, by the way, is coming up in August. 15th, 16th, and 17th of August is going to be a huge choke-out, smoke-out in Seattle, which happens every year with, oh, my God, it could be, 50, 60, 70,000 people down at Myrtle Edwards Park.
Yeah.
But if you want to get information about the legal marijuana and what's happening with the state laws and the medicinal marijuana program, you can go to the SeattlePI.com pot blog. The other story that I've been covering here is the Seattle Police Department, the efforts to reform the police department, because the Department of Justice did find that the department has a practice and policy of using excessive force, and also police profiling has been a big issue. The bugaboo there, the sticking point there, is that 130 Seattle police officers, without representation from an attorney and without the support of the Seattle Police Guild or the officials of the department, have filed a lawsuit against U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and our Mayor Ed Murray, who had a consent decree, the city and the DOJ, to push these reforms onto the Seattle Police Department. One of the stories involved with that is that U.S. Attorney Jenny Durkin for this area of the country has said that Seattle police officers' lawsuit has no merit, and that these reforms are completely constitutional, which is something that the Seattle police officers were saying it was unconstitutional and that it would cause loss of public safety. But according to the Department of Justice, no, that's not true, and these reforms are constitutional, and the lawsuit is without merit. So it doesn't look like it's going to stop the reforms. It's just slow the process down once again, and so we're still waiting to hear how that lawsuit comes out. We're also, in another legal issue, waiting to see what happens in Wenatchee, Washington, where the city has refused to grant business licenses to legal retail marijuana shops there, which is also a big challenge to legalization across the country. And that case could actually go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, according to our King County prosecutor, Dan Satterberg. So we'll see what happens with that. But those are two ongoing stories. There will be more developments as the weeks go by, and we can report more on that as the news comes.
Yesterday, the Sounders resoundingly beat the Portland Timbers. Sorry to our friends in Portland, but wow, what a game, and what a great day for soccer overall. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I think folks across the country don't realize this intense rivalry that has cropped up between Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington when it comes to soccer. Very, very intense competition between these two cities to win these soccer games. So, yes, big game. Also, of course, the World Cup has been going on, which has been a big story in the state of Washington and in Seattle. For the first time, especially folks in Seattle have become crazy about the World Cup. Unfortunately, my friends from Brazil are very unhappy that Germany beat the Brazilians in Sao Paulo, where the World Cup. It's going to be Germany and Argentina in the final, and the Brazilians are very unhappy. It's actually a big political issue in Brazil. There have been major protests against the World Cup. And as my Brazilian friends were explaining to me, actually while we were at the Georgetown Art Walk the other day, they were saying that there are political machinations going on in Brazil about the World Cup. The president of Brazil has actually been criticized by a lot of very wealthy political power brokers there for the fact that the World Cup caused so many protests. But it looks like another example, as I understand it, of the way that sort of the Republicans here use whatever political issue they can against President Barack Obama, things that he's not even responsible for, all of a sudden gets blamed for, and it looks like that's happening in Brazil. And by the way, I did want to give a shout-out to the folks who put the Georgetown Art Walk together. Georgetown is a part of Seattle, although they sort of claim to be a separate city because they're a little bit south of Seattle proper. A lot of folks are claiming that it's the only real authentic part of Seattle left with all the gentrification that's going on. But it was a really great event, and it happens every second Saturday of the month. The galleries are open. A lot of artists have moved to Georgetown to avoid the high cost of living in the rest of the city. And then also yesterday, was the Georgetown Garden Walk, which was a big community event where people opened up their homes and flower gardens and had tons of music and rummage sales. It was very, very good time in Georgetown. A lot of it was happening at the famous Hat and Boots in the park there.
Yeah.
Huge cowboy hat, huge cowboy boots, so kind of a landmark for Georgetown. But a shout out to Georgetown and all the folks down there that are doing great stuff to keep the arts and culture alive in Seattle. So I highly recommend that for anybody listening in Seattle. Check out Georgetown and check out the Art Walk. It's probably the only real authentic art walk left in Seattle in terms of actually being able to hang out in artist studio and meet the artists themselves. So
we'll be talking about it more at Space Dog Radio. Mark, any other shouts out or anything else you want to send out to the rest of the planet?
No, just my usual spiel about supporting independent media. Very important that folks in the United States support those folks that are trying to present authentic media, like yourself, like Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott of Filter Free Radio. I still continue to report for the Tom Hartman Show, Norman Goldman Show, Mike Malloy, and actually we'll be doing something this week for Jeff Santos out of Boston for his program. So support independent media, folks. It's very, very important that we counter the corporate control of the media in the United States because, like I say every time, we're still ranked 46th in the world in terms of press freedom, and it's only the independent media that's going to cure that problem. So stay tuned to Space Dog Radio and all these other great programs you can find online. And don't let the corporate-controlled media brainwash you, because that's exactly what they want to do.
All right. Mark Taylor-Canfield, we've got a link to him on spacedogradio.com. You can find him on Facebook, Twitter. He's all over the place. One of the great independent journalists of our time, and we appreciate you being on Space Dog Radio, Mark, and we'll look forward to hearing you on that Jeff Santos show. That's going to be awesome. And, of course, more shouts out to Jacob Dean, Filter Free Radio, Air Occupy in Ormond Beach, Florida. All these guys doing good work, so we really appreciate that. From someplace over the beautiful Pacific Northwest, this has been the Space Dog Radio Show. I'm the Space Dog along with Mark Taylor-Canfield. Be safe, be happy, and we'll catch you next orbit.